Hey guys, it's me Suja over here. I'm back with another video. So on this video, I'm going to be talking about how is the Indian education system different from the Western education system. So if you're new to my channel, the name of my channel is called as Sujoy in Vietnam. I've been living in Vietnam for over 5 years now. I was an English teacher for 3.5 years in Vietnam, and also I run a successful online digital marketing business. And I'm also a full-time YouTuber. So if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. So before I continue, let me just have a bit of my Nescafe. It's very hot. Right, so this is my afternoon cafe, Nescafe. Okay, so this video is going to be a bit longer. So I thought of talking about this since I did my American college, and also I'm a certified English teacher teaching in Vietnam for over 3.5 years, I think now 4 years. So if you can see over here, this is my United States college degree. So I got a GPA of 3.162 out of 4.0. So I got a 95% first class with distinction. And of course, this is my Australian teaching certificate from ACOL University, Australia. So yeah, as a teacher, having over 4 years of teaching experience in Vietnam, and also I did a bit of teaching in Thailand. So I thought of talking about, how is the Indian education system different from the Western education system? Um, I did my schooling. I did my grade 1 to grade 12 in an Indian school. That was in. So I did my grade 1 to grade 10. That was from an Indian school in Russia, in Moscow, which was under the Indian embassy. And then I did my grade 11 and grade 12 from a college over here in India. Um, from a school, I think from a school. It's been a long, but I did my college from the U.S. and so I just want to talk about my experience. I've actually taken down some notes. Um, so let's talk about the differences. Okay, now, firstly, let's talk about too much emphasis on percentage and grade marks. Okay. See, the thing is that I remember when I was in school, especially especially when I was in Indian school, a lot of emphasis was given for final exams. Okay, midterm exams, with the majority final exams. If we had this in our system that we have to get like 80%, 85%, and even like grade 10, like when I was doing my grade 10, that's when, like you had a lot of immense amount of pressure, like I remember waking up around 5 in the morning, memorizing the day when I would be going for my exam. My dad would be waking me up around 5 in the morning, and I would be just like memorizing. It's like, and then spitting it out on the exam. The same went, I think, for grade 12, but it was just like so much of pressure, like um, I couldn't watch TV. I was like, just watch TV for 10 minutes and, then go back to studies, eat your dinner, go back to study. I would like be studying till 1 a.m. in the morning, and then, having a stressful sleep, waking up around 5 in the morning, with those baggy eyes and, candle lits, when the dawn is breaking and I'm just still memorizing. And there was so much of pressure. And, so like I can understand like majority of the Indian students, like, who are like especially doing their grade 10, I believe CBSE or whatever it is, but grade 10, and even I mean, in America we say grade, but sorry, I would stick with. I think I would say class 10. Yeah, class 10 and class 12. Okay, apologies for that. Um, so like immense amount of pressure. Like before sitting for the exam, like students would be like, they would be writing on their hands, memorizing a to b square, a to b square. No, what is this? Cross questioning. What is the answer? Quickly in a stressful manner. Check the answer before the exam start. This question may come. This question may come. I remember those horror stories. I mean, it was just a very, it psychologically gets you. Like, but like if you look at the Western system, right? Um, Grades and marks, they're not related to your career. To be honest, like if you're studying from an American school, I never did my American schooling, but I did my college. But you're being assessed throughout the term. Okay, you're being given quizzes, a lot of assessments. So you're constantly being assessed. So it's like, you're not extremely stressed about the final exam. So I'm going to talk about that even a bit later. Okay. Secondly, what I find about the Indian education system would be the limited options to choose. Like I remember, when I finished grade 10, I just had very limited options. Like either you join science, commerce, or arts. And I think I took commerce. Yeah, I did BCom. That was, I think, from Symbiosis College. High school. I did my high school from Symbiosis. But I think that was the worst thing which I took, because I remember grade 12, I just passed with 55%. Um, for my grade 10, which I did for CBSE, I believe my percentage marks was 75% from Indian school. But it was like lack of limited options which I had. Whereas, like in Western education, like for example, in America, like if you're in your first year of college, you get to decide what you would like to select, and you're not only fixated with these three options like science, commerce, and arts only. You can take up different career options. Like different subjects. Like maybe geopolitics or different subjects or psychology. So many different subjects which you have an option to select. So you're not fixated there. Like, oh, from grade 10, I have to fixate what I have to focus on. Like in Western colleges, especially in American colleges, when students are there and on their first year, they get to decide what they would like to select, and they get a lot of options compared to those science, science, arts, and commerce. Okay, so there are a lot of options to serve. Okay, um, so there's more flexibility in when it comes to studying in an American college. Like especially if they're in their first year. All right, so which unfortunately you don't find that here in the Indian education system. Um, let's talk about the next I want to talk about would be the examination system. Okay, now I do understand from where I come from, like the Indian education system is that we are heavily focused on marks and percentages. And I would remember, I was not a very good student. I was kind of a very mediocre student, but yes, I was good in science. I was good in chemistry. I was good in physics. I sucked in math. I was very bad in Hindi. I used to actually fail in Hindi. Um, and, it was just like, it was a very stressful affair altogether, especially, when the marks would come out and, students would check from, like how much marks you got, and other Indian fellow students making fun of other students. Oh, he failed, she failed. Oh, do you know he failed? Do you know she failed? Or, harassing other students. How much marks you got? How much marks you got? Oh, only you got 60%. You know how much I got? I got 75%, you know? So it's kind of like the mark system, the grade system is more like a shaming and defaming students. Um, I think there should be something like an electronic mark system where students can privately log on and check their marks and check like solutions how they can improve their performance for the final exam or for the upcoming examinations. If this system can be implemented here in India, I think that would be great. Instead of just putting it out on the board, sticking it, a lot of students, crowding together and trying to find their marks. Like in the Bollywood movies, that you see, like in the Three Idiots. One student, he did not pass and he was crying, and it leads to a lot of psychological trauma. And then, of course, parents, they're also like not all Indian parents, but majority of the Indian parents, they're like they want their children to score very well. They want them to get 80%, 90%, and like what kind of news goes around the Indian society. Oh, this guy's daughter, this guy's son got 80%, or this, So it's more like a naming and shaming kind of a stuff, and I mean heavily it's like high stake exams, like so much of pressure. I do understand like why majority of the Indian students also they get a lot of pressure during a class 10 and class 12 examination, is because also that they need to do well so that they can keep their parents happy, and the society would also come to know that, oh, this guy's son or her daughter or this guy's daughter, they did so well or something, just to keep the status, just to I mean, don't get me wrong, but I think that could be also one of the causes for so much of stress out here. And all these newspapers, it's not very uncommon to find, like most of these local newspapers here in India, they come up with, CBSE exam percentages, 95%, 80%, topper. Um, this is not there in Western society, okay? Like in America, you don't have like you open the newspaper, oh, 80%, and especially in American education system, we don't go by the percentage, we go by grade A, B, C, D, E, F. So it's all more or less the grade system. But we don't have like in the newspapers, you open, you see the pictures of the students, who's the topper. This student got the highest percentage marks, and also he got the support from this coaching class. Like this another thing is the coaching class system out here in India is like, there's not nothing wrong with that, but it's just like parents are so stressed that they have to send their children to coaching institutions, coaching classes, so that they can get those top high percentage marks, or get the cheat codes, get those how to crack those questions and whatever, which is perfectly normal. But sometimes it gets very stressful. I mean, where's the student life balance? Like the child is coming from school, and here in India, at a very young age, the parents, after the child comes from school, the parents will immediately ask the child to go to the coaching class, for an hour or two, come back, eat dinner, go to sleep, go to school. So the student life balance is not there actually, unfortunately, here in India, which in Western education system you do have student life balance. Like you will find majority of the students who are in Western schools, education systems, they're endorsed to play a lot of sports activities, games, outdoor activities. So it's like a very balanced student lifestyle, okay, compared to over here where you're carrying heavy bags with flooded. I mean, filling up your bags with like 5 kilogram, kilograms or 10 kilograms of books and all that, and it's just a bit too much. I have been there. I mean, honestly, I have been there. Take out your textbook, take out this, take out that. Um, so, like, if you look at the U.S. system of education, it's more into, It's a continuous combination of assessments, quizzes, case studies, weekly exams, reviews. So final exams in U.S. schools and colleges is not a very important deal, because students are assessed throughout the year. Okay, so it's not like final exam is going to decide your career. Unlike here in Indian education system, like the final exam has to decide your career, for class 10, and for after class 10, if you don't do well for your final exam, you may get into a not so good college, or you will not have that entry. So it's kind of a bit sad, and so it's not very important, and it does not determine your grades. I mean, for Western education system, a final exam does not determine uh, the students' performance, grades or whatever it is. Okay. Um, all right. So I basically talked about this. So now let me just talk a bit more about um, the standard of learning. Okay, like especially I remember I had a huge shift from an Indian education system to an American college, and the first year I was like completely taken away, because it was like in US education you have to do a lot of case studies, work with the team. The same went when I went to Sydney, Australia, to do my masters. I unfortunately didn't complete that, but more or less you got to do a lot of case studies, teamwork, practical research, libraries, get access to libraries, do a lot of research. So but over here it's like majority of the Indian schools over here, it's just like fixated to the books, right? Just fixated to the books, um, and just memorizing. And sometimes I would remember I would be learning difficult things which I really didn't understand, but I was just like forced to memorize it, and spit it out on the exam. Okay, or if I didn't know a question to certain, I didn't, if I didn't know certain questions during the final examination, I would be writing some long answers, talking around the topic, but just to get some few marks, so that I could get that grade, I could get that percentage. So I don't think that should really happen to other, Indian students, because there should be a lot of practical knowledge, and of course, when I talk about practical knowledge, I do see a lot of practical skills, which I had during the Indian education system, is that I was not able to understand a lot of concepts. Now, it's just that because I was not given the opportunity to understand. Okay, like I had many times, when I went to school, I was not able to understand, but I was like a very shy student. I was like I wanted to participate, but like other students, like there were a few other Indian students, they would just always raise their hands up. Sir, I know this answer. I know. But what about the other students? And it was a sad reality that most of these Indian teachers, they would just focus on those students. Yes, yes, Nita, yes, Ram, yes, and all the other students are just quiet. I mean, don't get me wrong, like when I was teaching public schools out in Vietnam, for so many years, public government schools, I would ensure that each and every student is able to participate, divide the class, do group work activities, ESL activities. I would hover around the classroom asking students, are you able to do this exercise? Do you need any help? I would not be only selecting those students who would raise their hands up in the Vietnamese schools. Oh, I know this, I know this. You need to make the whole class participate, right? So that's where you're able to learn practical. I mean, I should have been in that position in Indian school where I would have been able to tell my teacher, I don't understand this. But then I was scared because other students would laugh and the teacher would lift me up and ask me to stand up and say, what you don't understand? I'm teaching, you don't understand? Get out of my class. Get out and stand there for an hour. So this fear, okay, which comes to the lack of quality of teachers, right? Especially here in the Indian education system. I remember, like I had times where my teachers would punish me if I didn't do a homework in the Indian school in Russia. I had a biology teacher. I didn't do the homework properly. She asked me to stand up. She gave me a few slaps, or, she would, like, twist the ears. I remember being punished by my principal in that Indian school, out and making and standing like this in front of two, three students just because we were a bunch of a bit of noisy kids in the school bus. Um, it's really psychological and trauma. I mean, no Indian teacher should be allowed to touch students, and you're not allowed. Like in Vietnam, in general, foreign teachers when they teach, you're not allowed to kick out students from the classroom and say that, okay, you go outside the class and you wait over there. No, you can just change the seats, or you can just tell them that, are you able to understand what I'm trying to teach? Or, just try to, but you're not supposed to kick out students, or, especially you're not supposed to touch students. It's as good as losing your teaching job, So I would like this to be implemented a lot over here in the Indian education system. What I could also see is that lack of career councils. Okay, I never had career counselors, especially when I was in grade 10 or in class 10 or class 12. I mean, there should be career counselors for students if they have the potential to do something well in life. For example, it doesn't have to be limited to class 10 and class 12, but say, for example, if somebody is in class 5 or class 7 or whatever here in India, there should be career counselors, like, okay, so you should, for, your teacher says that you're good in this subject, so maybe you should look into this, because, maybe you would like to be a scientist, or maybe, you would like to be a doctor or whatever. So we really need to have career counselors a lot, especially in majority of Indian schools over here, to support students to achieve their dreams and goals faster, which you will find in Western education system. They do have career counselors. um, and of course, this next one would be one size fits all. Okay. um, So what do I mean by one size fits all? Like, for example, if students with different aptitudes and IQs, you can just place them all together in one level of. There should be certain kind of assessments before putting your child to school over here, so that you know what level of students he or she is going to be with, he or she is going to be studying with, so that the student will be able to better understand the teaching. Here, one size fits all means, like, maybe the student doesn't have a very good aptitude, IQ, or whatever, and putting that student in that class where he or she is not able to participate, is not able to understand practicalities, is not able to, and will end up getting bad marks and destroying his or her career. And I can imagine the kind of pressure the parents will be also having. So there should be like an evaluation assessment done properly, especially when you're putting your child to school here in India, because like most of the American schools and all that, they do have evaluation tests, and then they can determine that, they can understand what's the strength of the student, what's the weakness of the student. Accordingly, the student would be placed for that class, or if the student needs some additional support from the teacher, because I didn't have a lot of support from my Indian teachers. And it's a sad reality that the students who would perform well in these Indian schools, the Indian teachers would be very nice to them. But the students who are failing or who are not performing well in that class or in that subject, this teacher would not talk to that student, would kind of neglect. And you have always this raising hand up, I know only for selected students. What about the other students? You got to focus on the other students. You got to make sure they're able to understand, right? um, Yeah, the next one would be the overemphasis on board exams. So like I said, like here in Indian education system, you have the board exams, which is like highly important, and that will decide your career. I think that needs to be changed and altered, because we don't want our Indian education system only percentage built, or based, evaluating students based on their marks, grades, percentage, or whatever. So there should be like an all year round assessment, like practicalities and all that. Finally, I would like to include would be the poor infrastructure. Not all schools in India have very good infrastructure, especially the colleges. Sometimes, I remember when I was doing my class 11 and class 12, we had broken tables, and like teacher would write on the board, why don't you implement touch screen technology in most of the schools and colleges over here? Have computers. Like I remember when I was teaching in public schools in Vietnam, most of the schools over there, they have computers, they have projectors. I can play some videos in the school, short videos, or teach vocabulary to the students. Speakers, microphones, air conditioned classes, clean and hygienic, not like broken tables and a very shabby environment to learn. Okay, so yeah, let me know your thoughts below, because I really thought of sharing my experience of my Indian education system versus the Western education system, the American college which I completed. So yeah, so I really hope things can be, I really hope that certain things can be implemented over here for the Indian education system. And I really hope that you found this video to be insightful. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you're traveling around in Southeast Asia, or if you're out here in India and you want to start a successful online business, you can check out the link down in the description below. You can check out my income stream site. So I just thought of clearing out my mind, especially when it comes to the Indian education system. So with that being said, you guys have a great day. This was me, Sujoy. Peace out.